One thing I think that about having, hearing aids is really finding the right ones that fit your needs. It's not a one fits all, like it's really customized, and having someone like you that really helps through that process and learning about them. Like to me, it was such a new technology and really understanding the technology
Mhm.
and walking me through it and, figuring out the app on my phone and how it all works and little tweaks that you can do when you are in different environments. I think, that's just been such a benefit of, chatting with you, and you're always welcoming it when I want to come in, and, it's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Right. And
Mhm.
that's actually what I pride myself on. And I think a lot of hearing care professionals do as well. Like that's why we get into the industry, right? Is to actually help people hear better. It's not a quick and easy fit, right? It's not a one hearing aid fits all. It's about the right product. Obviously, yes, there are different price points and different lifestyle needs, right? And in your work, you are in a lot of noisier environments. So I know that we did mention the product and stuff. So I'm going to, mention that we did get the Phonak Sphere for you. So I'm really happy that you could even notice a difference in the, technology, and then also that that personal service. Right, I've been able to come on in to a clinic for the follow-ups and stuff. I think one of my biggest frustrations in the industry is actually not being valued. Right? People don't understand that when you're buying a hearing aid, you're buying more than the product. Welcome back to Hear Me Out with Belinda. Today, I'm excited to welcome back in studio Lorie Watson. Now, you may remember Lorie from our very first episode and her experience with living with a hearing loss. Welcome back.
Thanks, Belinda. It's nice being back.
It is nice, but we're starting off the new year with you back in studio.
Right, right.
So since we last met, we determined, because we'd actually first really met that day in studio to set up through our producers, and we've got to know each other a lot better
Right.
over the time. So you actually did come in and see me
Hmm.
because we did determine your hearing aids were getting to that, just over that 5-year mark,
Yeah.
which is generally the time to start looking at new technology. So, yeah, if you don't mind, let's talk through the experience. You came in to see me. How was your experience within the clinic and your hearing test?
Oh, it's been amazing. And, one of the things I'll talk about a little bit about my journey is when I first, realized like there was something that I needed to look at for my hearing. I was struggling at work, struggling at home, hearing. I looked at Calgary just because, I wasn't really familiar yet. I was new to town. I was new to my job at the town, and I didn't realize you were here. And so I did start off with a provider in Calgary. What I found by seeing you, it was just such a different experience. In Calgary, it was more, here are the hearing aids, go home, figure it out kind of thing. Where with you, you've been with me every step of the way. I've appreciated that so much. And, the feedback that I give you and tweaking, my hearing and, the ability to stop in anytime if there's an issue. The convenience of local is just been so amazing. So I appreciate that. And, I've been so happy with the ones that you recommended. It's really improved my quality of life. I think that's one thing that, a lot of people that are like me, it really impacts your quality of life. You lose out in conversations. Sometimes you don't hear the right things. You're answering things that people didn't even ask you, all those things. So, one thing I think that about having, hearing aids is really finding the right ones that fit your needs. It's not a one fits all, like it's really customized, and having someone like you that really helps through that process and learning about them. Like to me, it was such a new technology and really understanding the technology
Mhm.
and walking me through it and, figuring out the app on my phone and how it all works and little tweaks that you can do when you are in different environments. I think, that's just been such a benefit of, chatting with you, and you're always welcoming it when I want to come in, and, it's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Right. And
Mhm.
that's actually what I pride myself on. And I think a lot of hearing care professionals do as well. Like that's why we get into the industry, right? Is to actually help people hear better. But if you don't mind, if we'll get a bit personal and maybe unpack your, your opening statement a bit. So starting off with, you're right, we actually celebrate our 5-year anniversary of being open in Okotoks on April 1. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, which I guess is coincides of your move and working with the town and everything. So there's a few things that I think I'd like the viewers to know that you touched on is um, it's not a quick and easy fit, right? It's not a one hearing aid fits all. It's about the right product. Obviously, yes, there are different price points and different lifestyle needs, right? And in your work, you are in a lot of noisier environments. So I know that we did mention the product and stuff. So I'm going to, mention that we did get the Phonak sphere for you. So I'm really happy that you could even notice a difference in the technology, and then also that that personal service. So I'd have been able to come on in to a clinic for the follow-ups and stuff. I think one of my biggest frustrations in the industry is actually not being valued. Right? People don't understand that when you're buying a hearing aid, you're buying more than the product, right? If it was
Mhm.
easy, we don't have it yet. I mean, I do have a few clients that come in that do go down to the US, but the US does have the over-the-counter products. And, initially there's a lot of fear, I think, within the hearing care professionals. But I think it's, the last I looked, it's under 2% of the market because it's not successful. And I think that this goes to show if hearing loss or if treating your hearing loss was as simple as buying a hearing aid, it would have been a lot more successful. But there's a lot more that goes into it, right? It's that person the client-centered care. It's all the adjustments and everything that go into making it the right product for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that's really key. It's really building a relationship with your provider. And, that's one of the things that, picking the right provider is a provider that's willing to do that. And what I, love about you and how, you face your business is not just about selling products. It's about giving that value of, getting to know your clients, getting to know, especially with me, the different environments that, that my life kind of turns into, whether that's like in a busy conference, or if I'm going to a meeting where there's multiple people, or even a restaurant. Everybody has different things that they do in their life, and some things are really challenging. And I find that when speaking to you, I was really able to adjust them for that, understand how to use the hearing aids to the best of its ability, right? And so yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it even just brings to mind my husband has hearing aids, and he does have really good low frequencies. They're in normal parameters. He has that high frequency hearing loss, but he wanted the in the ear ones. He's actually been on the show as well. And after wearing them for a period of time, he was saying, you know what, he's still struggling a little bit. He feels that when he would put them in the ear, it would dampen just a little bit of those lows too much for him. So I was like, well, come on in, let's make. So I knew that we would have to do some gain adjustments. And I was like making them slowly in those low frequencies. And he was like, eventually he was like, well, now I've got this weird noise. And I'm like, well, tell me about the noise. And I'm like, it's actually because of your low frequency and we've put that gain into it, you
Mhm.
can actually hear the mechanics of the hearing aid working, right? So now we got to go in and adjust what we call the soft noise reduction so that you don't hear that
Mhm.
anymore. And that's what it's about, right? It's not just about that quick fix of, fitting it to prescription. Because yes, we do have to do in Alberta and I think across Canada,
Mhm.
hearing care professionals do have to follow best practices.
Mhm.
One of them being the on air real ear verification to make sure that the hearing aid is matching the person's hearing loss, matching target. But if that hearing care professional doesn't have the time, either due just to the way their company balances their schedule, to really adjust it, like it's one thing to run it, it's another thing to actually understand it and make sure that the hearing aid is working for that person,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I think too is one thing I find too is that you have to make sure you're wearing them too. to
Mhm.
get the benefit. One of the things that I know with my own experiences with my father, so he likes to wear them just when he's out. And so it's really hard, to get him to understand, like, in order to get the most benefit out of them, wear them all the time. And I'm really at that. I remember that too. At first, getting used to how they feel, are they comfortable? And that's why I think it's important to tell you, hey, they're not sitting right or something.
Mhm.
They're too noticeable. Like right now, I don't feel them at all. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to even know that they're even there and notice them. And so if you don't wear them consistently, it's really hard to make those small changes to improve them. And then I think the other thing too is that once you are wearing them, you go without them or accidentally forget them, and you really notice it. I notice it. I'm like, I'm going back home. I'm not going through my work day without them because you just know that they're so important to your day to day.
Yeah. And I think that's good. I always say that's the key sign of a successful hearing aid user is when you leave home without them and you actually were like, oh my gosh, I need to go back
Yeah.
and get them out. Because then you know you actually adjusted to them, you're wearing them for a good amount of time. They're part of you, right?
Hmm.
Like I said, then I know that we've got success with,
Hmm.
with the hearing aids.
Hmm.
Actually touching on it though, I remember in your first couple of weeks you had to come in and say, something's not right. I don't
Yeah.
like the way it feels, right? And
Yeah.
just going back to it,
Hmm.
right? It's nice and close. It was easy to pop
Hmm.
by.
Hmm.
We can get you in and make those changes for
Right.
comfort, right? Which is really important because if you were a distance away, it would have been a lot harder and probably a bit more inconvenient,
Mhm.
to get into that clinic, because you got to work, you got to balance work life, all these other things to get in for the appointment. So, yeah, it's nice, I think, to be able to support your local clinic.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. One of the things that I love about is like you're so close to my house and I don't have to take a day off work. I don't have to then, find a time that I can get into the city. That's one of the benefits of local businesses is that you don't have to look outside the community. There's so many things here. And just in, some things that we just may not be aware of. So I love that you're doing this podcast to
Yeah.
share that you're here
Yeah.
and happy to help.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's really gone from, it's obviously sponsored by, Hear Out Canada and it's Hear Me Out with Belinda, but it's really about hearing beyond the noise, right? Whether it's actual hearing or just, things, that we don't always pay attention to within our environment. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know that you have your box there. So let's touch on a little bit about on Roger
Mm.
and why you need Roger. Like talking about, we have some amazing hearing aids. You notice an improvement in the technology,
Mhm.
but even with that, sometimes within the work you do within the noise, it wasn't. You were still putting those puzzle pieces together,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what you
Mhm.
mentioned in that very first podcast is how you're always putting puzzle pieces together. So do you feel like Roger helps you with that?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that I love about Rogers and the mic is that, in certain situations when I do feel like they're struggling, I can always take it out. So I can always take it out of my purse and, and have it there. So what happens is that whatever somebody's saying, it's going right into my hearing aids and it is not always picking up like all the background noise. I think it's one of the things that sometimes people aren't always aware is that, when you are wearing your hearing aids, it filters out some, but what the mic does is just, helps leverage that a little bit more. So then, that you're actually getting all the volume or the pronunciation. So that's more like, I think some people think with hearing aids, it's all about volume, but it's the pronunciation of the words, right? That you sometimes miss because sometimes it's a little loud and the mic is able to just pick that up and put it in my ear and then, makes things easier for me. And I'm not struggling. I'm not asking people to repeat things. And, it's even when people see it, they ask questions and I'm happy to help about, answer what I can. And they're just like, well, I'm so glad that helps you. So it's been really positive.
That's good. And I think touching on the whole hearing loss again, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody has such a unique hearing loss,
Yeah.
right? And their understanding in noise is different and their lifestyle is different. So some people They can buy a hearing aid and it can make a huge difference, and they don't need anything
Yes.
else to help them.
Correct.
And then other people that have a more complex hearing loss, and they do need these extra things either built into the hearing aid technology or something like the phonic Roger system that can help you hear better within that noise, like you said, to like really reduce the background sounds and bring that speech in, because it's about clarity. Right. It's not necessarily about volume. It's about the clarity so that you can actually understand the sounds and put those consonants together of what word is actually being spoken.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do love because it actually opens up that conversation, especially with friends and family, because sometimes I think that's the thing is that we understand our hearing loss, but our friends and family don't always understand that, we're using these things so we can get that clarity. It's not about volume because a lot of my family will just start, almost yelling. So, that's not what we want. We want just people to speak clearly and some like little cues too is like, people face you, and not talk away and things like that. All the communication and it's educating family members that, sometimes all those things help, right?
Yeah. And I think there's still a lot of almost misinformation out there
Hmm.
with regards to hearing aids. I think a lot of people still think, oh well, my spouse or my child or my mom has a hearing aid now,
Hmm.
so we don't need to do all these extra things. Exactly that. We don't need to make sure we have their attention, or they should just be able to hear like I hear because I have normal hearing, and they don't understand how complex a person's auditory system is, that it's not a quick fix. Hearing aids offer huge benefits, right? Especially when
Hmm.
they're programmed correctly and personalized for that person. But it's not for everybody. There are still some situations where that person cannot hear, even with the best quality products.
Oh, 100%. I have that conversation almost daily with my partner. That, oh, you have hearing aids, it should be fixed now. And it doesn't always work that way. It could be even going for a walk. We go for a walk and the wind is strong. So, the voice doesn't carry the way it normally does or whatever. So, that's where I think where the mic comes in handy.
Hmm.
So, when those kind of situations happen, it's just something that you can help support your hearing aids that you have, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think just to sum up, is that I was really grateful that you came in and you gave me the opportunity to
Mhm.
help you. It was fun to work in the clinic with you, and that I was glad that we found a product.
Mhm.
I mean, I know I spoke about which product you're wearing today, but I do still think that, I mean, I work with the 7 premium brands and I have my favorites, and it could have just has easily been a different product that was the correct one for you, just for your lifestyle. This was the right product. So I,
Mhm.
I don't think that there is a best brand out there. I think there's a best brand for the individual's hearing loss. And that's really very much my messaging all across, that sometimes you have to try 1, 2, or 3 different options to make sure you've got the correct fit for you. And don't be afraid to try.
Mhm.
And if you go in and you love the first one that's recommended, that's not a bad thing either, right? It just means it's a
Mhm.
good fit
Yeah,
for you.
100%. I think too is like, the investment that you make in them, you want to make sure that you have the right fit, that you're happy with them. And, I made the choice of purchasing these because they made such a difference from the hearing aids that I had before. Right. And it's just, it was like little things I found is that, oh, there's just a little bit more clarity. And so when I wear, if I wore my old ones and then put these new ones on, it's just like night and day. So, I think sometimes, people just have to really think about it's not all about finding what the cheapest one on the market is, but what's the right one for you,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and I've been so thankful for you to help me through this process because it is a process that it's hard to go through without having all that knowledge, and
Mhm.
that's where I've been able to lean on you and get educated on the different products and
Yeah.
try them out. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I still think there's a lot of those misconceptions, right? I mean,
Hmm.
even for yourself, for a previous hearing aid user, right? You don't know what options are available, how they can work, how they work differently. So you really are relying on the hearing care professional to bring that in for you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I was going to touch on too is how are you enjoying your time in Okotoks as a business owner?
So, like I said, we've actually been here for 5 years in April. And you know what? I would say the community really embraced us, and which has been really, really wonderful. I mean, I do advertise regularly in our
Mhm,
local paper because I think that Okotoks is really growing. I mean, there's a
mhm.
lot of new residents, coming in every month. So it's obviously just to make sure your name is out there so that they're coming into that, to support local. But I found even from, day one, there were residents ready to embrace that local business owner because it is a risk. You're spending a lot of money on a product and you don't know if that business is going to succeed,
Mhm,
right?
mm.
And so, I mean, I think you always have to be really grateful for those first clients that are going to take that risk with you. But I did, and I have some wonderful clients that did do that. And obviously, that's how I built up my name and my reputation, my Google reviews, and going back to just like being that small community, they were willing to take that chance. And now 5 years later, we're going strong. We're still in the community. I like to volunteer within the community. We've moved into the community for 2 years now. My youngest son attends the high school, the Catholic high school here. So yeah, we've really, the community embraced me as a business owner, and I feel like I've embraced the community. Right, there's that reciprocal. They've been part of the Rotary Club of Okotoks. I'm the president this year. Doing the volunteering. We actually have our big Robbie Burns event on the 23rd to help raise funds for Rowan House. So yeah, and I think that all stems from local community were there to give me a chance. They were there to embrace me and my business, and so that's how it comes full circle back, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's one of those things, there's so many small businesses here, and, that community connection is something that's so important, and it's something that, a lot of businesses that people really think of, this is home, and, residents are want to support local businesses because they're not just supporting the business, they're supporting the local people that live here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you think about you and I, right, we
Mhm.
went in because some business owners within Okotoks decided to sort of creating connections event. And I got invited to the second one. That's where we met our podcast producer, Sarah. And she put us in touch. And actually, that's how the first episode happened. And for me, the whole drive was to create awareness of the importance of hearing loss, treating your hearing loss. Yes, I'm local, coming in and see me, the difference between a local business, a corporate, and a big box store, and the difference the difference in your hearing
Mhm.
journey, I guess, right, in all those different places. Because going back to, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and
Mhm.
there's still a lot of people that don't have success with hearing aids, and it goes back to where they purchased them mostly and how they worked with that hearing care professional. But yes, going back to touching on that local community, right? It starts somewhere, and then you connect with each other and create these networks to help each other and empower each other, and then it betters the whole community, I
Mhm,
think.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, business support, I think one of the things, a lot of the small businesses here are small, they're owner operators and, support from local businesses as well. It all helps them in, staying here in the community and growing. And, I'm happy to see your growth. It's amazing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been wonderful to work with you, and obviously with you, the role as a client, a friend, and then obviously within the town as well. It's been really, really great. And I'm
Thank
really
you.
um, grateful that we were able to find a
Yeah.
hearing solution that can help you so much.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate you coming back on the show just to really talk about it and to possibly even encourage people out there that maybe are frustrated to give it another go, right? Like, there are alternate options out there. Find a different provider if necessary. Shop around, make sure you're getting a good, make sure you're getting what you feel you need,
Yeah.
right? And that you can ask all your questions, knowing that it's never going to be perfect, unfortunately, right? We're not giving you back bionic hearing by any means,
Mm.
but it should be greatly improved, and your hearing care professional should be able to work with you with something. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed working with you and just discovering more about Okotoks
Mm.
as well, the
Yeah.
the community we live and work in. We
Yeah.
love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on again.
Okay.